Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to continue our portfolio review session and looking at a portfolio from a UX designer whose name is Ronnie. So Ronnie is currently a first-year master student specialized in human-computer interaction at University of Michigan. So let's take a look at Ronnie's portfolio and see what we can learn from it. Just a quick reminder before I start, I share everything about UX from interviewing tips to portfolio reviews, design exercises on my YouTube channel. If you are interested in this type of content, please feel free to hit the subscribe so you won't miss any of my upcoming sessions. Okay, let's do it. So I am looking at the landing page of Ronnie's portfolio. And first of all, impression is very clean. The color is more on the pastel side. It's very pleasant, professionally done. And there is a header on the top with the designer's name. And the top header on the right has 3 categories: work, about, and resume. I think this basically covers the most important areas that you need to touch in a portfolio. And the header, like here we have, "Hi, I'm Ronnie, a UX designer who wishes to delight people with inclusive and empathetic solutions." This is great. And following by that, there is a link to the designer's resume and more about me with some fun emoji icons. I love it. So as I scroll, looks like it's got into the project case studies. The first one looks like a desktop product. And as I scroll, there are more projects focused on mobile. And yeah, looks like there are 4 projects. Oh, the last one looks really interesting. Design an AR experience to make running fun and immersive. Wolfie Run. Gosh, I'm so tempted to just tap into this project right now, but let's take a look at the structure first. So first of all, I think the landing page looks very clean and I love the structure. And this layout works very well. I think on one hand, you will have the hero image, which has a glimpse of like what this project is about. And Ronnie is doing a really good job in showing like screen mocks, whether it's a desktop or mobile in the real device. So it gives a real sense of the actual product. And also at the same time, like there is a very clear structure along with the card showing the name of the project and the little brief introduction. What is this about? And along with the hashtag, I think this is probably talking about Ronnie's role or some highlight keywords. Like this one is internship, enterprise product versus Suita. This one is a mobile product design, solo project. So I think overall, the structure works really well. And to helping like hiring manager have an idea what this project is about and which one I might want to tap into and learn more about. So overall, I think the landing page is doing a very good job. So like we always do, let's take a look at one of the project. I am going to select this mobile one. This looks really fun. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correct, but I'm just going to call it Suita. It looks like it's a match-up ride-sharing app for students, aimed to optimize the commute experience of students by connecting them together. So let's take a look. Cool. So now we are on the project page of Suita. First of all, there is a hero image on the top. You notice that as I scroll, the header disappears and the hero image, I don't know why, it feels like there is like a layer of dark shade translucent layer on top of the mockup. Maybe this is done intentionally. Yeah, I think maybe this is kind of getting to the subjective opinion of how a visual of hero image should look like. But I wonder how will this look like? You know, as I scroll, this started getting really small into more of a banner area. Like, does this view serve the best purpose of what you want to show here? Or can you make it maybe a little bit taller so there's more room to show a bit more about the work and makes it, you know, hero image supposed to be like, you know, be loud and expressive, showing the best part of the highlight of your work. So I'm not sure, maybe you can play with, like, try to get rid of this like gray out tone and see how it looks. Yeah. So as we get into the product, a match-up ride-sharing app designed for students, and along with this emoji, this is, I think, very intuitive. This is a mobile app, and there is this section like started by overview, my role, design tools, and duration. I think is super helpful to always have something like on a high level. Give your user or your viewer a quick summary, like what is this about? What's your involvement? What have you done? What kind of tools you use? And so I think this is incredibly helpful. The overview, let's take a look. It's a carpool app that serves as a trip planner to help elevate anxiety that students experience in commute by connecting students who drive to campus for class and who need a ride. I see. Suita aims to serve as an alternative way of commute for students with ease and joy. I see, got it. I think the language here is good. It's condensed and explaining what it is in a pretty in a simple language. So I think most of the people see this will be able to grasp what it is about. However, comparing to the other things you have here, this seems a little bit too long as an overview. If you want to keep it this way, I will leave it up to you, but maybe by highlighting either bolded attacks or using different style treatment, just highlight a couple of keywords here that might be able to help users understand immediately without reading the whole paragraph. So as we get into the next session, the problem. Is this the problem statement? Let's take a look. There is an image here. Looks like, I don't know, is this a comparison of different existing ways? There's vehicle, magic bus, ride, bike, and versus Uber and Lyft at the end. I think this is probably comparing the good and bad of some existing tools. As we move forward, here comes my design question. What are the major pain points of commuters and how can we optimize their experience with a product solution? I see. So this sounds like the problem statement of this project. What are the major pain points? But I'm not sure. Like this seems to me a bit of too much of an open question. What are the major pain points? Is that the problem you're trying to solve or you're trying to discover? Let's continue, take a look at what else comes after. So it goes into discovery. Oh, I love this. This illustration is awesome. What is this? It looks like it's a couple of quotes from probably users during the interviews that this designer has uncovered. In order to locate pain points and build empathy, okay, I conducted 5 semi-structured interviews with target audiences who are students currently living off campus. I found that among the 5 interviewees, none of them are satisfied with the current commute experience and they are suffering from some negative emotions. I love the graphical way of showing some of this highlight. I hate a feeling of uncertainty. That's just annoying. It's too hard to find a parking spot. This is strong and very clear, also communicated in a fun way, the pain points. So from here, the image of how I want to make this app to help the commute issues for local students starts to become clear. I want to elevate the anxiety and stress that uncertainty of the commute process brings to the students and make the commute fun and smooth. Cool. So from there, it goes into who I design for. Oh, I think the visual treatment here, I love it. It has a little bit personality there with the, when it comes to the target user. I think this is part of the persona. Designer used some type of illustration to aid the story here. And from here, it goes into ideation. And there are some fun sketches included here during the brainstorming session. And what is the highlight? After brainstorming and sketching, I finally decided to implement a match-app mobile app solution which connects people who drive to campus with people who need a ride. See, I think this is a very important statement. Like, you want to focus on coming up with a solution that can connect people who drive to campus versus with people who need a ride. I think this is actually how I would recommend to frame the problem, like the problem statement. Like, let's go back a little bit and see what you have here. So after the research interview done, like, this is the sentence we just looked at. I want to elevate the anxiety and stress that uncertainty of the commute process bring to the students and make the commute fun. This is something more of a discovery, like what you have discovered and decided to do, focus on after the research. And when we look at a problem statement area here, I'm not sure, like this sentence is the best way to frame your problem. Like, what are the major pain points of commuters and how can we optimize their experience with a product solution? This sounds to me a broader problem statement, like what you, as part of your process to start working on this project, trying to discover the actual problem you want to solve. However, it sounds a little bit too broad and to define a design problem you're trying to solve in this case study. So I would encourage you to think about it maybe like, what about if you say, how might we connect users who drive to campus with users who need a ride? Will that be a more specific problem framing for this project or not? So just the food for thought here. And as we continue, we have some design decisions. What kind of match app mechanism should I apply? So it goes into, I think, some of the defining. Designer looks like did like emphasis. I think this is a affinity map to understand, like, okay, what it is about. What kind of matchup mechanism should I apply? So I decided to apply automatically matchup algorithm based on time and route. Okay. How to keep the cost low for passengers while also provide enough incentives for drivers. Got it. So this comes into the iteration, like how to solve this problem. And it goes into like connecting the different side of the users from driver, passenger, and the school. I think this graph is very helpful and explaining the different type of users involved in this platform. What is their like, and also what is the goal of each type of users? And as we move forward, it goes into user flow. And this area looks like this designer did a flow of like from first time onboarding to create an account and initiate a match and until what happens after match before departure day. And in terms of the system design, this is like something new. I haven't really seen like flows presented in this way side by side. So curious, what's the connection between the left side and the right side? I think this is going both horizontally and vertically. So it looks like the first, for example, user flow, the first step is the first time user onboarding. And on the right side, falling within system design, it goes into more granular step. Like for example, what are the key touch points involved in onboarding from welcome, plan the trip, match up, and meet. That's my assumption. I think the way, like I get what you're trying to convey here, but I think it's a little bit confusing because system design, like why would you call it system design? It looks to me this is still part of you're trying to understand the key touch point of user flow. So yeah, just the food for thought, like what, maybe there are ways you can like tweak the language and also like visually like make this part actually self-explanatory and intuitive, like how people should read this graph, like from top to bottom or from left to right. People can't do things when you present things like in a way that's too complex. It often will get people confused. So have some visual cues to help the people understand. As we move forward, it gets into iterations. Based on the insights gained from the research and wireframe I generated, I crafted a paper prototype and hi-fi prototype. However, the usability testing reviews lots of issues with the current interface layout as well as information architecture. What are the issues? Let's see. Key findings. Homepage and matchup process is confusing for users. Got it. Okay. And then looks like there are some screen marks with some call out. My week, is this before and after? Like you're showing two screens side by side with different call out. Looks like they're showing the same step. Let's see. Not a good way to visualize the schedule and display key info. What is on the right side? Looks like the difference is you selected this area. So this is the part I think it looks a little confusing to me. Number one, because the screen is in a light background, is totally merged into the background of this web page. So it's not unclear to me, like what is the boundary of the screen? And the other side is, what's the relationship of these two screens you're showing at the same time? Is that before, after, or is that post-click? Like step after next step. So yeah, I think some clarification indicate of what are we looking at will be helpful. And as we move forward to solution, included onboarding screens with illustration to provide user an overall understanding of the system. Oh, this is lovely. Again, I think, yeah, I really love the illustration here, and it's a fun way and looks pleasant to look at. When it comes to onboarding, I think most of the case users are in the mood of a little bit stressful, like how can you help them get through that process easily, plays a huge factor. So looks like they're started from the welcome and a step-by-step quick guidance from how to plan your trips in advance, match up with local peers and time to go. So I think this is done very well, and there are some like call to actions is presented consistently at the bottom, and with this little dotted icon, like it has a clear indication of how many steps it actually takes for you to finish. Redesign the page layout as calendar and provided enough guidance and emotional feedback to the user. Cool. So I think looks like we're getting to the hi-fi screens. And generate, this is probably the calendar function. How can I create a schedule, I guess? Again, I think this is the area. There's a headline over here, redesign the page layout as calendar and provided enough guidance and emotional feedback to the user. But does this help me understand what am I looking at here? Like, as the user, when would I go to the screens? Am I trying to set up a schedule, or am I trying to get a match? With someone? Like, I think you need some high level context, like before you actually show those hi-fi screens. I think those call out are always helpful. You're doing the call out to explain in each section, like what's the thinking behind. This is excellent. It looks like the hi-fi screen are done pretty well at the same time, but before you even get to that level, I think to have a clear context, what am I looking at, and what's the relationships between those screens, is again back to the question from the first screen, looking at the January here. How do I get to the second create schedule? Is that by tapping something on the first screen, or what else? Okay, so continue to the next. We have a key finding number 2. User don't need a list of drivers to choose from, but a chat function to communicate. Got it. I think this key finding is awesome. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. You did some validation testing during the design iteration. What do you find out, and how does that guide your design in the next step? So this is very helpful. And comes to solution. How did the designer solve this problem? Okay, looks like there are some lo-fi wireframes and turn into hi-fi. Again, like, I think maybe without reading, it's kind of hard to understand what am I looking at? Like, how does this translate to this? How does it connect it to each other? So I kind of have to go back and read a paragraph here. Like, I removed the available driver list and provided only one driver, provide users freedom to cancel the match and look for another, also included a chat function. Okay, got it. So looks like this might be the before, and where the arrow pointed to is probably the after, with this chat functions included. Okay, final design. Now I want to go back to the last question. How will this solution help to alleviate the feeling of uncertainty and anxiety of user and make the commute trip joyful? For passengers, allow users to plan the trip in advance. Okay, and for drivers, what are the ways? By providing free reserved parking spot and by providing opportunity for user to expand their social network. These are the ways how designer has discovered and provided in the solution in solving this problem. Again, a little bit questionable, I think, on this problem framing. How will this solution help to alleviate the feeling? How would you measure whether you are actually successful in alleviate a feeling of uncertainty and anxiety? I think why I paused here and question about this problem framing is I think you need to have a very clear success matrix. How would you measure? Like, if you define the problem as you want to improve the feeling of users in some way, how are you measure and quantify it? Whether your design actually successfully achieved that goal. So just some thoughts and comment on, like, is this the best way to frame the problem? But I think this structure is clear. And as I scroll, I think we're getting to the final solutions from onboarding. Oh, those are actually prototypes. Lovely. See, this is actually, I think, really helpful to have this, like, just one tab. This is onboarding versus this is create account and this is fill in schedule form. Just give very high level information, but to aid and help your viewers know what they're looking at. And the prototype, I think, is done in a very, very nicely to explain each core step, each core journey, how it works. I think this part is done really well. And future steps. So I think this is getting to the end of the project. So this is probably some afterthoughts due to time, and what are some other things, like what if no match available? What if the driver canceled a ride? What will happen after the ride if no payment is needed? I see, this is excellent. I always enjoy reading some afterthoughts, like after you worked on the project, what is your takeaways? And if you get more time to work on it, what are some questions you want to find out? So I think this part is really good. Any other ways to add schedules? Okay, cool. One other thing I think is kind of missing here is what is the impact? What is the result? It seems like this designer did some testing during the part of the process to validate the first design iterations, which led to some changes and second iterations around this design to figure out the final solutions. However, when you get to the final design, I think this part is what I feel like is missing is how did you measure the success of the final design solutions? Did you do some validation testings? And how did the user feel about it? If the problem you frame is you want to have a solution help alleviate the feeling of uncertainty and anxiety of users, how did you quantify and measure that at the end? If you have any data, if you did user testing or interviews, show the data. And I think that's a very critical step for any project or case study to have that towards the end or upfront at the beginning, up to you. But I think it's incredibly important to show like what is the result? What is, even it is not like completely finished, it might be still going on progress, have some of the data you have to support like what is the design impact and how did your design positively change and improve the problem you were trying to solve. Cool. So like we always do, let's take a look at the about page of the designer. It looks okay. Started with a very nice picture. Hi, nice to meet you here. My name is running. Oh, there's some sound guidance. Yeah, sounds like running, but with more row sound. Cool. And I'm a first-year master's student specializing in HCI at University of Michigan. Before entering the world of interaction design, I lived and studied in China, US, Japan, and fully embraced the diverse culture. Cool. Design is okay. I think this is done like from a quick glance. It looks really, there are more cat pictures. So I think the designer did a really good job, like explaining a little bit more about herself, what's her background experience, and what does design mean to her. And they are followed by some quick links, how to get in touch by doing an email, connecting, linking, or get a resume. So those are really handy and really helpful. You can access them immediately as you landed on this page and get to know more about the designer. So as I scroll, things I love, my cat Tofu. So there are some, and cooking food and eat them all. Photography with particular love and interest in animals explored. Oh, this is lovely. A lot of amazing pictures. At the end, there's let's connect. Find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and how you can get connected with this designer. I think this overall is very well done. The About Me page, it is very condensed. The information is not heavy at all. It's presented in a way that it feels a little bit personal, like you get to know more about designer who's running is interested, what running is interested on, and things that this designer love. So yeah, I think it has a very good balance here of the use of image, visuals, and versus a very condensed and limited use of text. So overall, it feels lightweight, fun, and interesting to look at. So very well done. That's all I have for today. From what we look at today, I think a couple of key highlights. And first of all, I think this designer did a really good job. I think in terms of the landing page and also the project case study, visually is done. I think it has shown and demonstrated that this designer has really good visual skills, and comes to project, it has like step-by-step revealing like how the designer discover, define, and approach the problem step-by-step. A few things I think this the portfolio can continue improving on is number one, the storytelling. I think the language we see here is a little bit, sometimes feels a little bit too long, and it took a while for me to read and to understand the key point that I was trying to get. So I think I would encourage you to think about the storytelling that you have here, how to use really like clear and condensed language to explain the story, and maybe use like some fun, interesting way, like how you apply to the visuals to highlight some key points and make it really straightforward. Second, I think is the visual. When you show the high fidelity visuals, it sometimes feels like missing some high level context or header or guidance on what we're looking at. So the visual are done very well. However, without a clear context, like what am I looking at? How does it lead to next step? I think you will have a chance to leave the users confusing and a little bit lost while they're looking at your story. So think a little bit from the user's perspective. As someone who knows nothing about the project background story, how could you make the story like interesting and really easy to understand as they scan through the project case study? But overall, I think this designer did a really good job. I'm so excited to look more projects here, like in this designer's portfolio, especially the one kind of Woofy run, the AR experience, the last project on the landing page. So we'll end it up here, but feel free to leave me any comments or questions, please, and we'll have more fun stuff to come. I will see you guys next time. Bye.